Hello everyone. Today in this class we are going to see about the evolution of the management thought. So this particular evolution of management thought is divided into four periods, like how the management education have started or the thought of management principles have been taught and initiated in the organizations. So the evolution is divided into four periods, that is early management period, scientific management period, human relations period, and modern management period. So, when coming to the early management period, this refers to the time when the rapid industrialization was started. So, that is where the industries have been established into various countries and the management practices were started. So this represents that period where the establishment of the industries and the various principles of management have been initiated in the organizations. So it refers to the time bound where the management theories were developed by the famous contributors or the thinkers of management. So management practices existed even in ancient civilizations such as Egypt, China, Greece, or Rome. Large projects like pyramids, forts, temples, and road systems required planning, coordination, supervision, and organization. And that's where the thought of management functions have been started. So, although management was not considered as a formal discipline at that time, but the rulers and administrators used the basic management principles to manage the people and resources in the organization. And this is the period where the inventions have been started, the invention of the bulb, steam engine. So the development of these products have initiated to identification of the management principles as well as the management thoughts in the organization. Coming to the second period, we have scientific management period. The period is called as scientific management period, where the contributions of Henry Foyle, who is called as father of management, and the contribution of F.W. Taylor, who is called as father of scientific management, were involved in this scientific management period. And this period mainly focused on improving the efficiency of the labor, increasing or enhancing the productivity of the labor and the organization, standardization of tools and machines, and specialization concept was introduced, and the selection of workers is purely based on certain scientific analysis, not just like that the recruitment has to be done. So these two principles, the contributions made by Foyle and Taylor are being included in the scientific management period. And the Foyle, who is called as father of modern management, he initiated the concept of administration, organization, and management into the companies. And the third one, we call it as human relations period, which is a period where the human element has been given lot of importance. Because if you see in the Foyle's principle or the Taylor's scientific management period, nowhere the human element has been focused. That is the reason those two principles were called as organization oriented. But the theories, whatever we have in the human relations period, are more of are more of human relations, and they have given human element a greater importance. So the theories of Elton Mayo, Frederick Herzberg, and theory X and Y given by McGregor, and Maslow's theory of hierarchy, theory of needs, has taken a place in the human relations period, and they have came up with what are the different facilities which have to be given for the employees working in the organization so that the organizations can grow. So the human relations period developed as a reaction to the limitation of the scientific management, because there only the organization principles were developed and organization was considered as an important element, and that has been focused on. So but in this period, so these people have focused on the human element, which is like a backbone of every organization, and what are the things what they have to contribute for the human element has been suggested by this through these theories. So managers realize that employees are not just economic workers but human beings with emotions, attitudes, and social needs. This period focused on the human side of the organizations. The major contributor was Mayo, who conduct the famous Hawthorne experiments. The Hawthorne studies revealed that employee productivity improves when workers feel valued, respected, and involved. The human relations approach highlighted the importance of good relations between the management and the employees. This period mainly focused on how to motivate the people. Gave a priority for the teamwork, communication, leadership, employee satisfaction, and the importance of informal groups and their influence on the organizational decision making. And the fourth period, which is called as modern management period, which was developed in response to the liberalization, globalization, and privatization, the technological advancements coming up day by day, and the rapid changing business environments, out of which the nature of organization processes have been changed. They have become more complex, dynamic, and competitive in nature. So, therefore, managers need to adapt to flexible working models and adaptive management approaches suitable to the present market needs or the management practices or the business environment. So, modern management combines ideas from the earlier theories while focusing on systems thinking, innovation, and situational management. So now we will go into detail about the Foyle's principles or the scientific management period or the human relations theories. Now coming to the Foyle, who is called as the father of modern management, he has suggested 14 principles what every organization has to follow, and they are being followed till today by every organization knowingly or unknowingly. So what are the principles which are suggested by Henry Foyle? Let us go into detail. And the very first basic principle he suggested for the organization is division of work. That means that the work of the organization has to be divided equally and has to be assigned to each and every employee based on their education, qualifications, and experience. So, that is what we generally discuss in the organizing function, where the task will be divided into discrete components and they are being distributed and assigned to each and every employee as a form of a job. So job is nothing but a collection of tasks again. So these jobs the employees are expected to fulfill for a particular duration. So in this principle, Foyle highlighted that every employee has to be given some amount of work based upon his qualification and experience, and he is expected to accomplish or complete that particular work which is assigned to them. So, dividing the work among all the employees equally as per the qualifications and and experience has to be done by every organization. And the second principle he highlighted is authority and responsibility, where authority and responsibility always commensurate with each other. They are interconnected, we say. But what is authority and what is responsibility? So, authority is nothing but the right to have powers and authorities. The right to command others, we call it as authority. So, that means that whenever you promote people or when the people who are in the higher positions, they should be assigned certain powers so that they can command the people, they can issue orders to the people for the accomplishment of the various tasks of the organization. So, authority is nothing but the right to command or order people to accomplish the task. And responsibility is different. It is it is an owing on the shoulders of the managers that if they are given proper powers, then they are also equally responsible for the accomplishment of task. Because if you give powers and you don't make responsible, the managers will be careless. They will give the commands and orders, but they will not check and observe whether those works are completed or not. So responsibility is an obligation on the part of the manager to check whether the assigned targets and tasks are completed or not. So that is the reason we always say that authority and responsibility go together. But when you give responsibility and you don't give powers, then the managers may not have the right to order the people, and even the people will not listen to the person who don't have enough powers and authorities in his hand to command them. So that is the reason if you give authority, you have to make them responsible. If you give responsibility, you have to give enough powers and authorities to that individual so that they can discharge their duties properly. And the third principle he says is discipline has to be followed by every individual in the organization. So, discipline is nothing but the code of conduct, the behavioral standards. So, the employee is expected to follow, that is, respecting others, valuing the property of the management, and etc. So, discipline has to be followed, and that is most important for every employee and organization in order to maintain industrial peace and democracy. Next is unity of command. Unity of command is considered as an important principle because what it says is like the if the employee is working under multiple bosses, then whom they have to listen. Suppose in the same time, if all the superiors are commanding the employee to complete certain work, then what the employee should follow, whom he should listen. So that is like when the employee receives multiple instructions from multiple superiors at one point of time, he will be under confusion. That is, he don't know which order to follow and whom to respect. So there, the confusion, stress will be created. So what this unity of command says that even though when employee works under multiple people, so he can listen to only one instruction at one point of time given by one superior. And he also instruct the supervisors to give one command at one point of time to one particular employee. So that is one employee, one command, one superior. So and after the completion of this particular command, he can go for the next instruction. So unity of command says that the employee has to receive one instruction from one superior at one point of time. Unity of direction, he says. Unity of direction is nothing but giving clear cut guidelines to the employee so that they go in a proper direction, that is, the accomplishment of the task, the accomplishment of the goals and objectives of the organization. So, whatever it may be, the ways of doing of work may be different, but at the end of the day, all the employees, all the departments have to work coordinatively to fulfill the organizational goals and objective. So there the method of doing of works will may be different, but the direction towards the accomplishment of the task and objectives should be same and unique to each and every employee. So that is what they are saying. So in the form of unity of direction, uniqueness in the direction in the accomplishment of goals and objectives, and subordination of individual interest to general interest. So what does this say is that which goals the employees have to give top priority. Generally, if we ask the individuals like, what do you prefer? Which goals you give priority? So some people will say that they will give priority to their individual goals, but some people say that they will give priority to the organizational goals. But what I say is every employee has to give a greater priority to the organizational goals because organizational goals may be higher turnovers, higher revenues, expansion, etc., etc. So when such kind of goals are achieved, automatically your individual goals will be reached because mostly individual goals will be achieving a position, getting a promotion, getting good salary packages, incentives, bonus, increments. So these will be the general individual employees' goals and interest. Now, when your organization is in good financial condition, then obviously they will distribute those profits to you, that is to the employee, in the form of increments, incentives, bonus, and etc. etc. So if the organizational goals are achieved, your individual goals will also be achieved. So always your organizational goals should be given top priority and your individual goals should be subordinate to your organizational interest. Remuneration, the next one. Remuneration, what he says that as according to the job done by the people, they should be paid. So like the similar kind of work if people are doing, then they should get similar kind of salary. So no biases, no discrimination should be shown towards any gender, caste, or religion. So equal pay for equal work, equal treatment for all the employees should be followed by every organization. And he also suggests centralization of authority. as well as decentralization, because both are applicable as per the needs of the company. So centralization of authority means when all the powers are in the single hand. He suggests always the power should be at a centralized place so that there will be no confusion among the employees. So this authority should be in single hand and they will be discharging those responsibility. So centralization of authority he is giving preference, and scalar chain is nothing but which defines how many people you can control at one point of time, because it all comes with the experience of the employees. Now, if I ask a 10 years of experienced employee, he says that 100 people he can control or manage. If I ask a fresher, he says that 5 or 10 people he can manage or control. So that depends upon your experience, your capability also. So scalar chain defines how many people are under the supervision or under the control of one manager. So if it is 10, then your scalar points are 10. So if it is 100, then your scalar chain command points are 100. Order. Order is nothing but placing the right thing at the right place. He says that plant layout should be designed properly. The cabins, the working area, sanitation facilities, all the facilities should be properly arranged. So every department or whatever it may be, you have to keep it in the right place so that confusion, wastage of time will not be there. Equity, so all employees should be treated equally because all are equal before law. Irrespective of all the discriminations, every employee should be treated equally in the organization, irrespective of the positions and jobs they are handling. And organizations, he suggested organizations to give a stability for the tenure of the people, because if the organization gives such kind of assurance, then the employees will be they will be relieved from the stress of insecurity and they can concentrate on the job. So stability of tenure should be given at least for a certain period to the employees, and organizations have to encourage the initiative and the creativity of the employees. Whenever any employee comes with good suggestions and ideas, those have to be encouraged. And the last one is he always says encourage team spirit, teamwork among your employees. That is esprit de corps. So meaning is teamwork, unity, strength. So all the organizations have to encourage the people to work in teams. So coordination, so that better coordination and cooperation will be there in the organization. So these are the 14 principles what Foyle suggests for an organization to become sound in nature. And coming to the next one, that is Taylor Scientific Management. This is a different concept where Taylor mostly focused on the employee or how to increase the productivity of the employee. Where the Foyle principles are like the suggestions for the top management, what they have to follow and introduce. And scientific management is also for the top management, but what kind of rules they have to follow, principles they have to follow in order to enhance the productivity of the organization. Where Foyle says that how to run an organization, Taylor says that how to lead the people in the organization. And he suggested that there is no rule of thumb. So it is as according to the nature or as according to the business environment, flexibility should be there in the organization principles. So don't follow any rule of thumb. So always design the policies in a flexible nature. And harmony has to be introduced in the organization and followed, not discord has to be there. And cooperation should be given higher priority, not individualism. Development of each and every person to their greatest efficiency and prosperity has to be made. And he conducted a lot of experiments for this in order to how to enhance the productivity of the employees. And he conducted experiment, what we call it as the threshold, he conducted an experiment on the shovel what the employees are being carried out. So depending on the size of the shovel, what is the productivity the employees are getting day by day. Suppose if you increase the shovel size, because at that time the size of the shovel was like, he was working in a steel company where the employees are expected to shift the metal from one place to another place. So now what he suggested that, so if you decrease or increase the shovel size, then there will be an influence on the productivity he tested. And he increased the shovel size from 10 to 15 kgs. So obviously, the workers start the productivity of the employees was decreased, and if the shovel size is small, the productivity increased because that was very easy to carry and easy to move. So that means that based upon the equipments and based upon the machinery tools you provide for your employees, so and if you provide comfortable tools, then they will try to increase their productivity. And if the tools, procedures, and the machines are outdated, then your employees feel it as a problematic to work, and the production may not be as expected. So the size of the shovel, the kind of tools and equipments you are giving to your employees matters. It brings a difference in the productivity and efficiency of your employees. So that's the reason. So he focused on how to increase the efficiency of the labor through modern equipments, and that's the reason he conducted the shovel experiment. And he says that no rule of thumb which should be followed. So as according to that, organization policies should be very flexible and dynamic. And he also introduced a differential wage rate system where and piece rate wage system. So we in like time based system is nothing but as according to the time spent by the employees, the remuneration is paid. And piece rate wage system is as according to the number of products sold or produced, as according to that the wages will be paid. So that is purely based on the work done by the employees. The employee should be getting their remuneration. So this is what the major contributions of Taylor, and that is scientifically proved, examined. So that's the reason he's called as father of scientific management, and his theory is called as scientific management theory, and this is named after the scientific management period. So this is about the second period, scientific management period. And the third period we have is human relations period, where the theories of Mayo, Abraham Maslow, Frederick Herzberg, Douglas McGregor have been are being introduced, and the contributions of these people have been introduced in this particular human relations. And these all four theories take human resources as an important element, and what are the facilities and what are the welfare things what the organizations have to provide to increase or enhance the productivity of their employees. And coming to the Elton Mayo, his theories are called as Hathron experiments because he conducted an Hathron experiment on the employees working at his organization, and he placed certain people in a dark room and certain people where in a room where proper ventilation air is there. And what is the difference in the work he observed, where both the teams have performed very well. So he thinks that it is not about the facilities, but it is the concern you are showing towards your employees. It is the respect you are showing towards the employees, and the psychological attitude of employees towards the organization matters a lot rather than the incentives or the facilities you provide, what he proved. So he conducted Hathron works in the year 1927 to 32, focused on the impact of social and psychological factors on the productivity of the employees, found it that employees perform better when they feel important, valued, respected, and the organization gives greater attention to them. Emphasized importance of teamwork, communication, and employee morale to enhance the productivity of the employees. So employees improve their performance when they know that they are being observed and given attention. That is the reason both the teams have been performed well, because they thought that they are given an importance and attention. So that's the reason they outperformed in that particular experiment. And coming to the Maslow's theory, he suggested the theory of hierarchy of needs. So generally, every employee have a set of needs he wants to fulfill in his entire life. So the five set of needs every human being or every employee wants to fulfill is given in the form of need hierarchy levels. So and it always starts from the bottom, where the first need what every employee wants to fulfill is the psychological or the basic needs. So the basic needs are like food, clothing, and shelter, what employee wants to fulfill in his lifetime for survival of his life. So the basic amenities where we want to initially fulfill. So the first set of need every human being wants to fulfill is the psychological needs that is needed for his survival. And after meeting these needs, after fulfilling these needs, every employee wishes to meet or fulfill the next higher order needs, that is the safety needs, uh, because nowadays the jobs are on temporary basis, and suddenly if you lose your job, then what about your survival? So that's the reason we save certain amount of our salary in the form of savings, so that in future unexpected circumstances, this money is going to help us for our survival. So job security, safe working conditions are nothing but the safety needs which is going to help the employee in the unforeseen circumstances. So every employee, apart from his fulfilling the basic needs, he want to save certain money for his future needs. And the third set of needs what every employee wants to fulfill is social needs. That is because human beings are not are social beings. They don't want to live in isolation, and always we seek friendship, uh, we seek belongingness from others and from ourselves. Teamwork, we generally want to work in teams. So that is nothing but the intention to work with all the people. So that you will also get recognized in the society. So that is making friendship, doing friendship with all the people, building network, rapport building is the third set of needs generally every human being wants to fulfill. And once these needs are attained, every employee will go for the next higher order needs, that is esteem needs. Because once you have a good followers, good friendship network, so then what you want to fulfill, you want to get some greater recognition in the society. So recognition, respect, where we every employee feels that everybody has to recognize him and respect him. So he want to enjoy a proper status in the society. So that is nothing but the esteem needs what every employee wants to fulfill in his lifetime at some period of time. And the last set of need is self actualization. And that is what we generally fix in the beginning of our career, because that is what where we want to see ourselves at a particular point of time, like after 10 years or 20 years, where we want to see ourselves. Now, for most of the people, this life achievement awards will be given. That is for their contributions to the entire lifelong to that particular sector. So here your personal growth, creativity, achieving your capabilities, what you are capable of achieving that particular position is nothing but self actualization needs. And when you meet your self actualization, when you fulfill your self actualization needs, that means that you have achieved all the goals in your life. So human needs are arranged in a hierarchy where lower level needs are satisfied first, and then they go for the higher set of needs, and these needs brings motivation and encouragement for the employees to work more and more. So these are the five set of needs which were suggested by Abraham Maslow, and which are applicable to every human being even today. And next, going to the next theory, we have Frederick Herzberg theory of motivation, where he suggested two types of factors through which we can motivate the individuals. That is hygiene factors and motivational factors. Hygiene factors are nothing but these are the generic factors which doesn't yield any satisfaction, but generally when these are not provided, employees feel dissatisfaction. And hygiene factors are necessary for smooth conduction of the work and task in the organization. So now what are these hygiene factors? So these factors prevent dissatisfaction but do not motivate employees in any concern, but these are needed for the normal functioning of your jobs. So that is a better salary, working conditions provided like ventilation, proper air, lighting, drinking water, facilities, sanitation. So if these are all provided, those doesn't lead to any satisfaction. But when these are not provided, certainly we feel dissatisfaction. So status, interpersonal relationships. So these are all the basic hygiene needs what employee expects from the organizations to provide. And the second set of motivators are motivational factors. So now these create or these boost up the motivation levels of your employees, because these offer some financial incentives to the employees for their performance. So the factors like achievement, when they achieve proper recognition and appreciation, the work you do yourself, like if you reach your targets, then you are considered as higher performers. So that itself is an achievement and respect you are going to get, the responsibility you are carrying out, and for that responsibility you are being recognized, and additional and challenging responsibilities are given to you. That means that the organization is trusting you advancement in your career and growth opportunities provided for your improvement. So these are called as motivational factors because when they are provided, that gives motivation to the employees, and if they are not provided, generally dissatisfaction will be there. So job satisfaction and dissatisfaction are generally influenced by these two factors, and this his theory is called as two-factor theory of motivation. And coming to the fourth person, the Douglas McGregor, he has given a theory called as theory X and Y, where he describes about the nature and attitude of the employees towards work, where he divides the people into two categories, what he calls them as theory X and theory Y. And he describes the nature of the people. Just these are assumptions what he assumed about the nature of the people towards the work. And people who fall under theory X thinks that, like, certain people will be there, like theory X, where they think they dislike their job, they avoid responsibilities when they are given to them, they need always some kind of observation on them, strict supervision so that they complete the task. They are motivated mainly by money and by fear of punishment. And for this kind of people, generally, dominative style, authoritarian, bureaucratic style of leadership has to be followed because they will not listen to words. So, steer, like, you have to punish them, or you have to put a fear of punishment. You have to motivate them for better productivity. And assumptions about another set of people in the organization who always enjoy the work, outperform in their responsibility, and they are always self directed, self learned, and self motivated, and they can be very creative and innovative, and they always want to take up challenging assignments. So now, such kind of people, generally participative and democratic style of leadership or management can be followed because they are already self motivated and they are very matured enough. They have enough skills and knowledge, and when they take up any task, they will outperform in that. So every organization will have a mix of theory X and Y people, so where the management style will boost them in order to reach their performance levels. So these are the four theories in the human relations period, where all the four people have highlighted the human element, which is an important element of every organization. So in the modern management period, generally, as we discussed, that is nothing but the flexible policies, the future work practices because of the modernization and automation and mechanization of the labor and activities in the organization. What kind of policies and rules and regulations the organizations are fixing on a day-to-day basis suitable for the current business environment will be in the modern management period, and there are no defined set of principles over there because they are different from company to company or industry to industry. So all the modern policies what we are following, like remote hybrid models, outsourcing, or getting the advanced machinery into the organization, implementation of AI and machine learning. So all these are the modern management practices which keeps organization survive or sustain for a longer period. So that's all about the evolution of the management period. In the next video, we will come with a different topic. Thank you.